Everyone, good to see you again. This video is all about improving the air conditioning system of our Lotus Elise S2. Whenever we meet, it's always a question, how is your air condition? Well, being an owner of a S2 myself, I've done a lot to understand, and I'm privileged to have a nephew who is also an aircon specialist. So we have got a chance to work on different cars and also to improve the system. And so this video is to share with you the secrets behind improving the little things in the air conditioning system, alright? So if you have got somebody who can actually modify it for you, or if you've got a regular air conditioning man who can do that modification for you, go ahead. Or if you're a DIY person, feel free to look at these tips that I'm going to give you and make those improvements for yourself. Okay? Now, a couple of points. Number one, please note that the Lotus air conditioner cannot be like the air conditioning system of a Toyota or a Honda. And here in Malaysia, it can never be as close as a Perodua or a Proton aircon. It's far from that. Okay, so that is something that you have to accept. Okay, performance car air conditioning system cannot be as cold as a conventional car, right? But nevertheless, how can we improve the limitation that is in this system? Okay, so one of the reasons why our air conditioning system is not cold is because the cooling coil and the blower is outside the car, and it's not totally sealed. So because of that, it's actually drawing a lot of hot air in our hot climate here, so therefore affecting the efficiency of the air conditioning system. Okay, so secondly, your air conditioning system is very much affected by the temperature of your car. If your temperature is running high all the time, obviously your air compressor will be cut off, and then you feel cold air, hot air, right? Okay, and of course, if you're running hard, you're revving high all the time, and you are driving and you're having a spirited driving, obviously the air conditioning compressor will be cut off, and your aircon won't be cold. So naturally, you're supposed to switch off the aircon, open your windows a little bit, and then drive hard without your air conditioning system. Okay, but I think in our tropical country here, we feel the most air conditioning system deficiency whenever we are stuck in the traffic jam. Whenever we are in a standstill in the traffic jam, wow, and you feel that you're sweating all the time. Why is that? One of the reasons is because your rising temperature. Okay, because your engine temperature is your radiator temperature is rising. Therefore, your air conditioning system will not be so efficient, and obviously it cuts off the compressor. So therefore, your air conditioning system is not so cold. All right. So today, I'm going to attempt to explain to you some of the details that I've done in terms of modification based on the different things that we have done with different Lotus owners, and it's a continuous improvement all the time. Okay, these are some of the ideas. It may not work for your car, but I hope that these are just ideas that can help improve in some ways. All right, so let me attempt to share with you what I've done internally first, okay, to improve the circulation of the air. And then I'll go outside of the car, and I'll attempt to explain to you the different modification that you can do in order to improve the circulation of the air, as well as to improve the temperature of your car. Alright, so let's get to it. Yeah, let me flip my camera around. One of the quickest thing that you can do is actually, for me on my driver's side, can you see this plate here? Okay, this plate is being sealed off already. Of course, I've changed it, the rivets into 4 screws, so I can remove it anytime. But if your car is stock standard and you have not done anything, this is one of the quick fix. Remove this plate over here. Okay, I'll include a photo later on to show you. Once you remove this plate, you will see a bunch of openings over there, and that would actually improve the drawing of the air from the cabin out to the air conditioning system. Alright, but for my car, I've done a modification. So actually, to improve the circulation of the air from the internal cabin, I've actually sealed off this part and letting the air only sucking in from the passenger compartment. Why? Because a smaller hole is better than a large big hole. Okay, so the suction will be better. Point number one. Point number two, we have modified a filter. Can you see my filter? Can you see the dust on it? So therefore, not only does it attract and keep dust off the air conditioning system and filters off the dust, but definitely with only one opening, it improves the circulation of the air. Alright? Okay. So the second thing that your air conditioned man can do for you is actually modifying the thermostat. Please know that your original stock standard Lotus S2 thermostat is actually outside the car, okay, and it's a fixed thermostat. In other words, it's not controllable. So the temperature of your air condition is actually controlled by the hot air that is being drawn from your radiator. So there is a balance of hot air cooling the system and the cold air being generated by the compressor. Okay, so the net of that two gives you cold air coming out from the vent. Understand? Okay, but unfortunately, because of our tropical country and because of your thermostat that is not adjustable, the compressor end up running all the time. And when the compressor runs all the time, what effect that you get in one sense is the freezing of your cooling coil. Okay, so because the compressor is running all the time, is cooling it all the time, your cooling coil becomes so cold, it goes into a freezing state. When it becomes a freezing state, it becomes a block of ice. Understand? So when it becomes a block of ice, air cannot pass through the cooling coil to be cool. Alright? So what is the outcome effect? Your outlet here, you will feel that even if you're running a fan speed at number 3, the air is not flowing through a lot. Why? Because the cooling coil is already frozen like a piece of ice. So no air is passing through. Okay? And because of that limitation, the air is also hot. No air and hot air. Okay? Because of the freezing of the cooling coil. Alright? So to overcome that problem, we have actually modified the thermostat. Alright? And better if you can modify the thermostat here to be internal. Okay? So right now, we have modified it just like a what do you call, conventional car. I'm going to turn the knob here, and I'd like you to hear the compressor cutting. Yeah, can you hear? Tuck. Okay, back on. Okay, can you hear the compressor coming back on? All right. So you don't get this car with your stock car, correct or not? You don't hear kicking out the compressor, correct? Because the compressor is running all the time, and that's the risk of your of your cooling coil being going into a freezing state. And forming a block of ice, preventing air from getting through it. Okay, so this one will help. You see, the compressor cuts off, right? So why is that important? Because in a proper country, we want the compressor to run so that your cooling is efficient. But yet, when it's cold enough, we want the compressor to cut off. All right, okay. And also, we don't need heating in our country. So so we don't need the heating element to be in the a cooling system. Okay, so this thermostat has been modified. It's of course going in the opposite direction. Right now you can see that even on the hot sun right now, I'm idling. Yeah, I'm idling for about 10-15 minutes already. Okay, I'm still running my fan speed at number 1. It's very rare occasion that I need to go to level 3. Can you hear the sound of the speed of the blower? Okay, now because my car, I don't need because the temperature is good, most of the time I'm just running at fan speed level number 1. Okay, and this is my lowest temperature setting, and yet the air is cold under hot sun. Alright, for my own experience right now, even in the morning, I will put it like in the half position of my thermostat with level 1 in terms of blower, and my aircon is still cold. Okay, for my own setting, whenever it's hot sun, I will set my temperature to the maximum. My blower is still at number 1, which is a great improvement actually. Okay, so consider this. If you're a DIY person, do a DIY on this. If you've got a regular aircon person, whenever you're doing a modification to aircon, get him to consider doing this part for you. Okay, it will improve the efficiency of your air conditioners because you're controlling the compressor running. Alright, okay, let me move on to the outside to explain to you what you can do on the outside, because that is equally important as well. I'm outside the car right now. What I'm going to show to you is the certain things that you can do to modify the external part. Okay, so I'm going to switch my camera around and let's take a look. Alright, first of all, can you hear my fan running? This is the maximum speed, right? So actually, if your fan speed is running well, if you put your hand over here, you can even feel it. Where is my hand? Cannot see. Hang on, yeah. Hang on a second. Okay, yeah, here's my hand. If you put your hand here, you can feel the fan blowing the air through the radiator. Alright? And this is very important, okay? So, please check your temperature, because if your temperature is running high, obviously it's going to affect your air conditioning system. Understand? Okay? So, what are the things that you need to check? Is this sponge lining over here? Okay? So, later on, I'm going to switch to a video that I've actually shot this morning. And that car has got the clamp removed. So I was able to show you the lining that I was talking to you about. Now that lining is important because there is a lining. Oh, before that, let me explain. Okay, so if you look at our car, on top is the radiator, and below this radiator is actually the air condition condenser, and under the air condition condenser would be the two running fan inside here. Correct? So the two fan, whenever your car is on a standstill, especially, yeah, because when the car is running at a high speed, there's no problem because the design of this car is perfect in drawing cold air through the vents and cooling your system. But if your car is on a standstill in heavy traffic, that's where your challenge is, right? And you would have to depend on these two fans to work to improve the air conditioning system as well as to cool the car, which is very important, correct? So these two fans, okay, you can hear it, it's at high speed right now. Alright, what it does is it blows through the air condition condenser and coming out here through the radiator. Alright, so what I want to share with you is that in between this radiator and the condenser is a piece of sponge lining. Alright, so what happens is that if your car over time, especially through age, this lining has become brittle and hard and it's become ineffective in sealing off this center part. Number one. Number two, if your car has been modified, in other words, the radiator has been changed before, or even the condenser has been worked on before by your air conditioning man, a lot of them, they have failed to put back that center lining, okay, in between this radiator and the condenser. I'll tell you why it's important, because that piece of sponge acts like a buffer to keep air flowing through the radiator. Okay, so because if you have not replaced that broken sponge, what happens is that the radiator, the two fans at the bottom blows the air through the aircon condenser. The air gets flown out from here at the sides, so there's a lot of leaky holes, a lot of space there that for the air to not go through the radiator. Okay, so once you have sealed off that original piece of sponge or lining, all the air that is being blown by the two fans through the aircon condenser will flow through this radiator. Okay, 100% of it, and not air being left out over here. So therefore, because air is flowing through your radiator, it improves your cooling. Okay, your radiator cooling would improve tremendously. Alright, and you will see your temperature coming down. Okay, so this is one quick thing that you need to check to see whether it is actually being sealed out or not. If not, I would recommend that you DIY, remove this plate, take out this screw, remove this cover. Alright, and then there are two screws over here, remove this cover as well, two sides, and try to reach out your hand and try to buy some sponge lining and sort of put back those lining. The best is to be able to remove the radiator and put back the lining in a proper way. But if you can't, just DIY it quickly, alright, from here, and you can also access it from the bottom over there. Sealed off this part, and you will find that the air coming through the radiator is good, it's better, alright, and that will improve the temperature. Okay. Now, there's another thing that you can quickly check if your car is stock that you have not done. It's actually at the front of your car. Underneath this grill, inside here, there will be two vents. This is actually original vents that will draw air into the cooling coil and to the blower. But in our tropical country, we don't need that because it's sucking in hot air and it's also sucking in air that is not so fresh for us. So what you can do is to seal up that two part, and that will improve the circulation of the air. Okay, but it does not satisfy 100%. As like I say, is because the aircon compressor, the aircon cooling unit and the blower is underneath here. Alright, so because it's outside and it's not totally sealed, what happens is it's drawing all the hot air in any way. Okay, so one of the key points is that once you come to service your air condition in a big way, having everything taken out, make sure that all those parts are being sealed off. Okay, there's no need for all those air, no need for all those in our tropical country. Okay, sealed off all those gaps, and that would improve the circulation of the air being drawn into the cabin. Okay, rather than drawing outside air. All right. So those are my quick tips for you. And finally, just a point on the fan speed. Yeah. So if your car is stopped like mine, whenever you start your engine at idling, your fan should not be running. It will start running when it hits like 85, 89 degrees Celsius. Then it will go on a low speed. All right. So once it passes in my case, 95, it will go into a high speed. Okay. Or if you've got your air condition turned on, then the minute you start your engine at idling, the fan is already running at idling at low speed with your air condition on. But after a minute of driving, your temperature is already rising towards the 85, 89, 87 degrees Celsius. Your fan speed will be running at full speed. Okay? This is the Elise having the front clamp removed. Right? So what you can see here is the radiator on top. And underneath this radiator is actually the air condition condenser, and under the condenser would be the two fans, right? And on the other side here, you can see these large holes. This is where it is connected to the cooling coil as well as the blower of the air condition. So you can see that the whole air condition unit, blowing system and cooling coil is actually outside of the Elise. Okay, this is one of the reasons why the temperature is not so good, because it is also sucking in all the hot air from the outside. Now, what are the things that you can do, all right, or be cautious of, is this lining over here. Okay, can you see this lining over here? This lining here, over time, you can see that it's also hardened and cracked, right? So a lot of times, whenever, especially if you have been servicing your air condition and the condenser has been taken out, or even the radiator has been removed, please remember to replace this lining. Okay, because this lining is very important, because it actually seals off the gap between the radiator and the condenser behind the bottom. So if this seal is not being replaced, what happens is that the two blower, when it blows the air from the bottom, the air upon passing through the condenser is being there's a lot of loose air gap, and the air gets blown away instead of blowing through the radiator here. All right, so because of that, your temperature will start rising. Okay, so this is a very important thing that you have to do. You have to seal off this part here so that the air can flow through the radiator. All right, and because the full amount of air is blowing through the radiator, especially when you are actually staying still in a traffic jam, the two blower helps to blow the entire air through the radiator. Okay, so remember this lining over here. Okay, over time it's going to be hardened, and a lot of times after servicing, the serviceman forgot to put back this lining or replace this lining. Okay, and it will affect the temperature of your Elise. All right, so let me see. Let me check. Okay, so my car has been idling for some time. Okay, so you can see that the air conditioning system is still cold. Okay, where am I? Maximum temperature, fan speed at level number 1. So that's what I would recommend. So I hope this video has been helpful for you. It's just a sharing of tips for you to do what you can do. So if I can help you in any way, do drop me a line or two in the comment section. PM me, you know, and I'll try to my best to help you out. Okay. As all of us in the same boat here in Malaysia is hot weather. Okay, you can see that it's super hot right now. Air condition system is so important for all of us. Okay, so for now, I hope this video has been able to help you. Like it, share it, subscribe to my channel for more info. Hope to be sharing you as we go along. Thank you for watching. I see you on the next one. Bye bye.